In a small, quiet town, there's a bar called the Rusty Anchor. Inside, a group of bikers called the Iron Wolves are gathered, sitting together and laughing loudly. Their voices are filled with mean words, and they make fun of a poor man who looks helpless. The bikers don't care about how their words make the man feel. They're just enjoying bullying him. The noise in the bar is deafening, and the group of bikers seem to think they own the place. They laugh as they push the man around, making fun of him and calling him names. The bar is full of fear and tension. Other customers are sitting quietly, not wanting to make trouble, afraid of the bikers. But then, suddenly, the door of the bar swings open and everything stops for a moment. The man who enters is big, strong, and confident. It's The Rock, a famous figure known for his strength and calm nature. He walks in with no fear at all, just wanting to have a drink and enjoy the evening. As he steps inside, everyone in the bar stops what they're doing and stares at him. They can feel that something is different about him. The bikers don't know who he is and they think he's just another person to mess with. One of the bikers, who is called Dante, notices The Rock and doesn't like how calm and strong he looks. He thinks that maybe The Rock is out of place in their bar and he decides to challenge him. Without thinking, Dante grabs a bottle of beer and throws it at The Rock. The beer splashes all over The Rock's jacket, and the bikers start laughing even louder, thinking it's funny. They think that they've won and made The Rock look weak. But little do they know they've just made a huge mistake. The Rock stands there for a moment, letting the beer drip off his jacket. He doesn't get angry or shout. He just calmly looks at the bikers, keeping his cool. The bikers keep laughing, but there's something different about the way The Rock looks at them. It's not the look of someone who is scared or upset. It's the look of someone who knows how to stay calm in any situation. The bartender, who is nervous because of the bikers and now The Rock's arrival, quickly asks, "What will it be?" His hands are shaking a little as he grips the rag behind the bar, his fingers turning white from how tightly he holds it. The Rock looks at the bartender, his presence so strong that the room goes silent for a moment. With a small smile, The Rock responds, "Just water." His voice is calm and there's a quiet strength behind his words. It's not an angry response. It's simply a choice to stay in control of the situation, showing that he doesn't need to drink alcohol or react to the bikers. He's in charge of himself and nothing can make him lose his cool. The bikers look at each other in surprise. They were expecting The Rock to get angry or try to start a fight. But instead he just orders water. They can't understand it. Dante, who thought he was tough, looks at The Rock with a smirk and says, Well, what do we have here? A big guy like you ordering water?" He sounds like he's mocking The Rock, but The Rock doesn't respond. He just takes a sip of his water, still calm and unbothered by the taunts. The bikers, frustrated by The Rock's lack of reaction, try harder to provoke him. They start laughing again, hoping he will snap and give them a reason to keep making fun of him. Dante, still determined to make The Rock feel uncomfortable, walks over to him. He stands tall and tries to make The Rock feel small. "This isn't exactly your kind of place, is it?" he says, his tone mean and mocking. But The Rock doesn't let his words bother him. He continues sipping his water, looking at Dante with a calm, steady gaze. He knows that sometimes, the best way to handle people like this is by not giving them the reaction they want. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, especially not to a group of bullies. Dante doesn't give up easily though. He tries to push The Rock even more. "You think you're too good for us?" he says with a sneer. He's hoping to get a rise out of The Rock, to see him get angry or defensive. But The Rock just shakes his head slowly and says, "I'm just here for a drink. I don't want any trouble." His voice is calm, deep, and steady, like he's not worried about anything happening. Dante feels a little awkward now, but he still tries one last time to push The Rock. "Trouble?" he laughs, shaking his head. "Who said anything about trouble? Unless you're too good to hang with us." He's trying to make The Rock feel like he's too fancy to be around them, trying to hurt his pride. But The Rock doesn't fall for it. He doesn't care about their opinion of him. He knows who he is and doesn't need their approval. Then Brock, another biker, gets involved. He's smaller than Dante but still tough. He walks over to The Rock with a mean look on his face. Brock deliberately knocks over The Rock's glass of water, spilling it all over the counter and on The Rock's jacket. Brock looks at him with a smirk, like he's proud of what he just did. He says, "Oops, my bad," pretending it was an accident. But The Rock doesn't flinch. He calmly wipes his jacket with a napkin, his expression still calm and focused. He doesn't let Brock's actions get to him. The bikers are starting to feel a little nervous. They thought The Rock would get mad or fight back, but he's showing them something they weren't expecting: control. The tension in the bar grows thicker. Everyone knows something is about to happen. The bikers are closing in, waiting for The Rock to do something. But instead, The Rock simply stands up. He's not angry, not upset. But as he stands, the whole bar feels the change in the air. "I'll buy my own drink next time," he says, his voice firm and serious. His words carry weight and everyone in the room knows that he means it. The bikers stop laughing and the whole bar becomes quiet. They realize that they've made a big mistake. They thought they could bully him, but they were wrong. The Rock didn't need to fight or get angry. He just needed to show them that they can't push him around. In the end, the bikers learned a big lesson, that respect is earned and bullying doesn't get you anywhere. The Rock didn't have to fight them to prove a point. He simply showed them that true strength comes from control, calmness, and not letting others make you feel small. The lesson stuck with them and they wouldn't forget it anytime soon. As The Rock turns to leave, Dante, still determined to start a fight, steps in front of him, blocking his way. With a sneer on his face, Dante says, "Leaving so soon? We were just getting to know you." His voice is filled with venom, trying to provoke The Rock into reacting. But The Rock stays calm. His face doesn't show any emotion as he looks directly at Dante. The silence between them grows thick and heavy, like something's about to happen. The gang, sensing the tension, moves in closer, their eyes now fixed on The Rock. Their confidence is no longer the Mikey. Now they are watching him like hungry animals, waiting for a sign that he's about to fight back. The insults that were once meant to scare him now turn into personal attacks. The taunts are more hateful, meant to hurt. One of the gang members spits on the floor and says, "Why don't you go back to where you came from?" The words drip with hate. Another one mocks him, "You think you're better than us? What, are you going to cry to your daddy?" The insults keep coming, each one meant to push The Rock further. But The Rock stays silent, his expression unreadable. Inside though, The Rock is feeling the anger build up with every hateful word they say. But he doesn't let it show. He's calm on the outside, but deep down he's starting to boil with fury. He's waiting for the right moment, holding on to his control. Dante, thinking that he's got The Rock right where he wants him, steps closer. His face twists into a grin that says he's sure he's about to win. "What's the matter? Can't take a joke?" Dante mocks, trying to make The Rock lose his temper. But again, The Rock doesn't react. He stays silent, his face still a calm mask. The bartender, who has been watching the whole scene unfold, sees the growing danger. He steps forward, his voice shaking with fear as he says, "Guys, leave him alone. He hasn't done anything." But his words don't stop the gang. They ignore the bartender and continue to focus on The Rock, their eyes burning with anger. Dante, not liking that the bartender is interfering, snaps at him, "Shut it, Mike. This isn't your business." His voice is full of disdain, and the bartender, scared of what might happen, steps back behind the bar. The gang laughs, thinking they have the upper hand. They believe The Rock is too calm to fight back and they start mocking him even louder. The laughter fills the room, but The Rock's expression never changes. His silence only makes the gang members feel more uneasy. The tension in the air thickens and it feels like something bad is about to happen. Dante, his temper starting to snap, takes a step forward and pushes The Rock hard. The Rock stumbles back a little, but he doesn't fall. The gang sees this as a sign of weakness and they move in closer, surrounding The Rock. They circle him like wolves around their prey. Dante steps up to The Rock, his face full of malice. "What are you going to do, big guy?" He sneers, his voice dripping with mockery. But still, The Rock doesn't react. He doesn't flinch. His eyes stay locked on Dante, hard as stone. It's like he's studying him, waiting for the right moment. Suddenly, one of the gang members charges at The Rock, throwing a wild punch aimed at his jaw. But The Rock moves like lightning. He easily sidesteps the punch, grabbing the man's arm in a swift motion. His large, powerful hands twist the man's arm behind his back, forcing him to cry out in pain. The gang member struggles, but The Rock's grip is too strong. He's in complete control. The others stand frozen for a moment, shocked by how easily The Rock disarmed their friend. Their confidence starts to fade and fear begins to creep in. They realize they may have underestimated him. The Rock, still calm, looks at the rest of the gang. His gaze is cold and unblinking. His voice is low but clear, "I warned you." His words hang in the air like a promise. The gang members look at each other, and their faces show a mix of fear and uncertainty. They realize they might be in over their heads. The bar, once filled with loud laughter and insults, is now quiet. The gang members start to feel the weight of their decision. They thought they could push The Rock around, but now they see they've made a huge mistake. The Rock stands like a mountain, unshaken, while the gang begins to realize they're the ones in danger. But then the gang's fear turns into desperation. They can't back down now. Driven by panic, they charge at The Rock all at once. It's a wild attack with fists flying and chaos filling the air. Chairs are knocked over, tables are upended, and the noise of the brawl echoes throughout the bar. The gang throws punches, but The Rock doesn't even flinch. He moves with unbelievable speed for someone his size. Every move is calculated and precise like a trained fighter. He ducks and dodges the wild punches, his body moving like a blur. One punch comes at him, but he avoids it by inches, feeling the wind of it pass by his face. In that moment he takes his chance. With one smooth motion, The Rock delivers a powerful uppercut to Dante, hitting him with the strength of a cannonball. Dante staggers back, crashing into a nearby table. The table falls to the floor with a loud crash. Dante is dazed, struggling to get back up. The gang members hesitate for a second, unsure of what to do. That hesitation gives The Rock the opening he needs. Another gang member, seeing an opportunity, tries to tackle The Rock from behind. But The Rock is too quick. He steps aside, using the man's own momentum against him. With a smooth move, The Rock grabs the man by the back of his jacket and flips him over, sending him crashing to the floor with a loud thud. The Rock doesn't stop. He turns to face another attacker. The man is holding a pool cue ready to strike. But The Rock doesn't even flinch. He stands tall, his eyes locked on the man with a gaze that freezes him in place. The man's body stiffens, unable to move. The Rock is ready. The gang has no idea what they're up against. The Rock's sharp eyes pin down the remaining gang members, their earlier confidence now shattered. They had been so sure of themselves, but now they were shaking with fear. The Rock's strength and speed had taken out their friends in an instant, and they realized they had made a terrible mistake. The room fell silent, the tension so thick that it felt like it was choking everyone. The gang members exchanged nervous looks, unsure of what to do. They knew they were in trouble. The Rock's gaze was like a predator watching its prey. His eyes narrowed, his face hardening into a serious expression as he looked at the remaining gang members. His stance was solid and unshakable, his muscles coiled and ready for anything. The Rock slowly took a deep breath, and in a voice that was low and threatening, he asked, "Had enough?" His words were calm, but there was a deadly edge to them. It was not a question. It was a statement, a warning. He was letting the gang members know that it was over. The silence in the room was heavy. The gang members stood frozen, realizing how badly they had miscalculated. They had underestimated The Rock, and now they had no idea how to get out of the situation. For a moment, the room felt like it was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Then Dante, the gang leader, decided to make a move. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a switchblade. With a swift flick of his wrist, the blade snapped into place with a loud snick. Dante's eyes gleamed with a dangerous light, and he stepped forward, holding the knife tightly in his hand. He glared at The Rock, his voice dripping with venom as he sneered, "You think you're tough? Let's see how tough you are now." The rest of the gang members looked on, their eyes wide with nervous energy. They were ready for a fight, but none of them looked particularly confident. The sound of Dante's threat echoed through the bar, and some of the patrons who had been hiding under tables or behind chairs gasped in fear. The Rock stood tall, his body tense and ready, his expression as calm as ever. "You really don't want to do that," The Rock said, his voice deep and cold. He wasn't threatening, he was warning Dante one last time, giving him a chance to back down. But Dante wasn't listening. With a snarl, he lunged forward, aiming the knife straight at The Rock. But The Rock was faster. With a move that was almost too quick to see, The Rock sidestepped the attack, effortlessly avoiding the blade. In an instant, he grabbed Dante's wrist, locking it in a vice-like grip. Dante gasped as the knife slipped from his hand, falling to the floor with a loud clatter. The Rock, without breaking a sweat, threw the blade across the room, sending it skittering away. Dante was now pinned against the wall, his face filled with shock and fear. "This ends now," The Rock said, his voice like a powerful command. He didn't yell, but his words were so full of authority that everyone in the room knew this fight was over. The Rock's body was solid, his muscles rippling with strength, his eyes locked onto Dante's, unwavering and full of determination. The gang members, seeing their leader helpless, stood frozen. The Rock had won and they knew it. The bar was now a mess, the gang members scattered on the floor, their pride shattered. The Rock had shown them all what true strength looked like. After the fight, The Rock turned his attention to the bartender, his face softening. The Rock walked up to the bar and reached into his pocket, pulling out a wad of cash. "This should cover the damages," he said, his voice kind and gentle. It was a completely different side of him than the one who had just taken down a gang. The bartender, still in shock, took the money, his hands trembling. "Thank you," he said, his voice full of gratitude. You didn't have to do that. You've already done enough. The Rock smiled, his expression warm and reassuring. Not your fault, he said. Thanks for trying to help. The bartender looked at The Rock, a mixture of wonder and disbelief in his eyes. He had just seen The Rock take on a gang, but now he was seeing the softer side of him. The Rock wasn't just a tough fighter, he was a man who cared. With one last nod to the bartender, The Rock turned to leave. As he walked out the door, the people who had been hiding cheered. The sound of applause filled the room as everyone stood up and clapped. They were grateful, relieved, and full of admiration for the hero who had saved them all. The Rock simply nodded, accepting their praise with quiet dignity, his face serious but appreciative. As he stepped outside, the town was already buzzing with excitement. Word of The Rock's bravery spread quickly, and soon everyone was talking about the amazing thing he had done. The newspapers printed the story, calling him a hero who had brought down the dangerous gang and made the town safer. For the Iron Wolves, it was a crushing defeat. Their tough reputation had been destroyed and now they were a joke. The sun was setting, painting the sky in bright orange and pink colors. The Rock climbed into his car and paused for a moment, looking out at the horizon. A small smile played on his lips. He had made a difference. He had helped make the world a little safer, and that was all he needed. As he started the engine and drove off into the sunset, the world felt a little brighter, a little better because of him. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more stories. I'll see you in the next video.